The smoke from the revolver hung thick in the Arizona heat as Jack Harlan stared at the two bodies sprawled in the red dirt outside Nogales. Blood soaked into the parched ground, and the woman's bruised eyes met his with a mix of terror and hope. Her 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, clutched her ripped dress, tears streaking her dust-covered face. Jack had come to the border town for black market rifles to fence up in Phoenix quick cash for a man who'd seen too many wars. But when he overheard the smugglers laughing about dumping the extras, dragging the woman toward a truck bound for some hellhole sweatshop, something inside the ex-Marine snapped. The little girl had kicked one of them in the shin, screaming for her mama, and that was it. 2 shots, 2 dead traffickers. Now, Jack was a murderer in the eyes of the law, and the distant rumble of engines meant trouble was closing in fast. What would a man sacrifice to right a wrong in a world where justice wore a badge but turned a blind eye? And when the cops came knocking, how far would you run to protect the innocent? Jack's ranch nestled in a rugged valley amid the saguaro cacti, 50 miles from the nearest town. O prying eyes, no deputies, no second guesses. Until today, Maria Sanchez hadn't said a word during the grueling ride, perched stiffly behind him on the pickup's bench seat, her arms shielding Sophia like a fortress. When they pulled up to the weathered cabin, she climbed out without his help, her dark eyes scanning for threats. "You can bunk in the spare room," Jack grunted, killing the engine. His voice was gravelly from years of solitude. "There's fresh water, kin goods. Help yourself." She eyed his scarred knuckles, the tattoos peeking from his rolled sleeves, remnants of tours in Iraq. There was always a price with men like him. That first night, Maria wedged a chair under the doorknob and gripped a steak knife under her pillow. Sophia tossed in her sleep, murmuring in Spanish about nightmares. Through the thin walls, Maria heard Jack in the living room, boots pacing the creaky floor, the glug of bourbon from a bottle. She'd glimpsed his battle scars when he washed the blood off at the sink-jagged lines from shrapnel. This guy had killed before, and it made her blood run cold. By dawn, she decided they'd steal his truck and bolt for the border, vanish into Mexico where her cousin waited. But when she cracked the door, Sophia was missing. Heart-pounding, Maria rushed outside. There, by the old well, Jack knelt patiently, showing Sophia how to crank the handle. The girl's tiny hands gripped the rope, and she beamed. "Mommy, Mr. Jack says I'm tough like my daddy was." Maria's throat tightened. Sophia hadn't spoken of her father since the accident that claimed Hema hit and run by some cartel runner. But here she was, giggling for the first time in months. Jack glanced up, his blue eyes steady under the brim of his hat. Something unspoken passed between them, not trust, but a shared understanding of loss. "Kid starving," he said plainly. "Was fixing eggs." Inside, the kitchen smelled of strong coffee and sizzling bacon simple, but a feast after weeks on the run. Jack moved with quiet efficiency, his rough hands setting plates without fanfare. As Sophia dug in, Maria sipped her coffee, black and hot. "Those guys you shot," she whispered. "More will come hunting." He nodded. "I know. Why risk it?" His gaze met hers. Some lines you don't let him cross. For weeks dragged on before the pneumonia hit Sophia, hard a rattling cough, then chills that shook her small frame. It was the silent killer in these dusty borderlands, preying on the weak. Maria had lost neighbors to it back in Sonora. "We need antibiotics," she murmured, dabbing Sophia's feverish brow. Jack loomed in the doorway, hat twisted in his fists. Town men exposure his face was on wanted flyers now. Jack Harlan, armed and deadly, reward offered. "I'll head out at sunrise." "They'll spot you," she protested. He shrugged. "She'll die without him." As he turned, Maria grabbed his arm, feeling the warmth of his skin, the ridges of old wounds. She'd grown used to his routines, the way he split firewood at first light, whistling old country tunes, the wildflowers he'd leave on the counter without a word, the respectful space he gave her, never pushing. Desperation clawed at her. Don't go. We'll figure something else. Ain't no other way. Her voice cracked. If you leave, you might not make it back. What about us? His eyes softened. Gently, he covered her hand with his. Truck's keys are in the glove box. Cash stashed in the shed enough to get you south. But the words tumbled out, "This is home now." They stunned them both. In this ramshackle place, with this haunted veteran, she'd found a fragile peace. Maria stepped closer, inhaling leather and pine soap, and kissed him fierce, born of fear and budding desire. He froze, then pulled her in, his embrace strong yet tender. When they parted, breathless, he whispered, "I gotta go." She knew. Loving a fugitive in this unforgiving land came with risks. That night, with Sophia's fever easing slightly, Maria slipped into Jack's room. He sat cleaning his pistol by lantern light. "You don't have to," he started. "I want to." What followed was raw and real, his calloused hands exploring her with reverence, tracing her curves, her scars from hard life. She learned his body a map of pain from combat, the gentleness that defied his tough exterior. At dawn, she watched him gear up, holster, jacket to conceal the gun. "If I'm not back by dark, you will be." Tears stung her eyes as he kissed her goodbye, a promise hanging in the air. Gunfire echoed at dusk-sharp pops rolling over the hills like thunder. Maria's stomach dropped. She clutched Sophia, peering through the grimy window. Dust plumes rose. Snow, trucks barreling down the dirt road. "Mommy," Sophia whimpered. "Hi, baby." But it was Jack, slamming through the door, blood staining his shirt, a vial of meds his grip. "They tail me from town. Sheriff's deputies." He shoved the antibiotics at her. "Get Sophia and hole up in the storm cellar." "I'm not leaving you." She cupped his face, seeing the grim resolve he was ready to die fighting. The cellar was under the kitchen rug. They scrambled in as engines roared closer. "Surround the place." "Harlan, you're done." Maria's mind raced. She yanked off her mother's Nicolaita simple cross and emerged alone, rumpling her clothes to look disheveled, vulnerable. The lead deputy, a cocky 30-something with a shiny badge, eyed her suspiciously. "Ma'am, we're after Jack Harlan. Killer. Might be holding you hostage." She thickened her accent, let tears flow. "Officer, he was here, but he took off east toward the highway an hour ago." A deputy paused at Sophia's faint cough from below. "Sound like a sick kid." The sheriff's face hardened. "Doc in town said someone raided his clinic for meds." "My girl. She was dying," Maria sobbed. "That man stole him for us. I don't know why." It was half true of why had Jack thrown his life away for strangers. But gratitude burned in her. The sheriff grumbled, "He's probably hightailing it to Mexico." They poked around outside, but skipped the house. Why? Suspect a frightened immigrant woman? After they peeled out, Maria waited an eternity before hauling Jack and Sophia up. He slumped, pale from blood loss. "Why didn't you rat me out?" She bandaged his grazed side, painful, but survivable. "You saved my daughter. Us. That makes you family." His hand squeezed hers. Together. 8 months later, the wanted posters faded, buried under new cases. The border had bigger fish. Jack's limp lingered, a reminder, but his touch was soft as he taught Sophia to fish in the nearby creek, patient as he helped Maria plant tomatoes in their patch. Evenings, with Sophia tucked in, they'd sit on the porch, his arm around her, watching stars pierce the desert sky. Maria wore a ring he'd whittled from mesquite rough, honest, like him. They'd built something enduring, not from fate, but hard choices in a world that tested every bond. It wasn't fairy tale perfect. Love here was gritty, forged in fire. But it was theirs family by blood, sweat, and sheer will. In the wilds of Arizona, second chances came to those who fought for them. What would you do in their shoes? Risk everything for strangers, or play it safe? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Take a stand. Was Jack a hero or a fool? Share your views, and let's debate.